Welcome back to What You Missed, a video game news show where I discuss articles that occurred within days to a week ago that you may have missed that are important to the video game industry and possibly to you. So there were a few stories finishing out E3 that I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to collaborate 3 of them into one video. So Nintendo was talking on Switch's Virtual Console. Quote, "We recognize there's an appetite." So they were speaking on this, saying, quote, "We know that our fans, our players want access to all of our digital content. We know that." That was the American President, Chief Operating Officer, Reggie. You guys know him. He's been the representative for a while. And he always talks about stuff like this. And usually he ends up delivering, even if it takes a very long time. So he went on to say, quote, "What we're working through is, okay, what's going to be the best way to make that happen, to make that available? Certainly, we recognize that there's an appetite for all of our great legacy content. Speaking more from the Nintendo of America standpoint, we have it as a priority to make My Nintendo much more meaningful moving forward." When he was asked about physical rewards coming about as of the program, he stated it could, before discussing a few of the challenges that came with doing something like that in the Americas. Quote, "The challenge I would just share is, unlike Japan, which is a very concentrated market, I've got to create solutions that are going to work for Canada, that are going to work for Latin America." He explained, noting that because it's a much more diverse marketplace, physical goods gets a little more challenging. And that isn't to say that Nintendo isn't ruling that out though. Could I envision a unique physical goods as part of the program? Sure, but it really needs to work for all of our consumers, not just the consumers in the United States. And I couldn't echo his sentiments more. But he did continue on. When they were talking about game sales and digital sales compared to the physical, he said, quote, "For Nintendo, truly every game is different, and the franchise drives some of this, as well as how the consumer wants to experience that game." Fizeme used The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild as an example, noting that it had a strong digital percent, but not as strong as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on a pure percentage basis. Fizeme said he thinks that it's because the nature of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is something that you always want to have on the device. You're out on the go, and so someone is eyeing your Nintendo Switch, enjoying those Joy-Con controllers to pop it out and immediately have a multiplayer experience. I think that is what makes Mario Kart 8 Deluxe special. And I couldn't agree with him more about a lot of these things. I don't necessarily know about the physical versus the digital argument he presented. That's a good way of putting that. But I think a lot of people would rather have a physical copy so that they can trade it in later. But I know other people would rather not have to lose the packaging or keep track of the box. So fine. I think that's good that they're at least addressing it and not just turning a blind eye. But hopefully they'll address it a lot more, because again, you can go on almost any ROM emulation website and download the entire collection of the last 20 console games that Nintendo has produced, which is like over 1,500 to 2,000 games on ROM form, and you could just have it within minutes if you have good internet. So it's insane to see that, and them not stepping up their game fast enough is all I'm saying. So the next story is Nintendo is working to scale up Switch production, and I think that's important as well. It was stated again by Fizeme, quote, "What are we doing as quickly as we can is scaling up production to make more available into the marketplace to get the point where every consumer who wants a Nintendo Switch can find a Nintendo Switch." And I think that's the best thing to do. Continuing on, quote, "That's what we're trying to get to. I'm not going to tell you when we'll get there, but our goal is to improve the supply chain so that more product is available to more consumers, and that is the key focus." And while the Nintendo Switch has sold over 900,000 units in March alone in the United States, as well as 280,000 in April, worldwide it has sold about 2.74 million Switch consoles in its launch month, surpassing the company's original goal of 2 million, which means they weren't really expecting this thing to take off as quickly as it did. I'm sure they were looking for success, but I think in the past that they've been using the past to dictate their initial sales, which is amazing, man, because when Nintendo's successful, more and better games end up coming out, out for those systems. And finally, I wanted to end on a quick note about Pikmin 4. So apparently, Pikmin 4 is progressing. Now, this is a game that slipped through the cracks, kind of, and slipped even my attention when the E3 showing was going on. And I don't really understand how or why, because it's a very, very big and important game, and a lot of people really love Pikmin. So I was kind of surprised to see that this did slip through. But Miyamoto was commenting and confirming that yes, quote unquote, that Pikmin 4 is in development, but that is all we can confirm at present. So of course they can't talk about it, and you might say the same thing for Metroid Prime 4, and you also might say the same thing for the core IP Nintendo game that is going to be on the Switch. They don't have any information to tell us. I think a lot of people should stop badgering them so badly. Like, I know people are fans. I know they want what they want, okay? There's not a new Star Fox game. That disappoints people. There's not a new F-Zero game. That disappoints people. Okay, I understand that stuff. But if you let it be and you don't complain, whine, and moan in such a ridiculous way just to get Nintendo to reply, I mean, I think these things are going to eventually come our way because they're successful franchises. It just takes some time for them to develop them. We're still getting Fire Emblem games, and I'm hopeful that the Advanced War series will come back as well. So, like I said, I'm not saying you're not entitled to your opinion, and you can write and say what you want, but just be careful about the way you say it. Otherwise, you'll get a depressed Pokemon producer looking into the camera saying, yes, we're making a game for the Switch. Please stop being so angry. So there you go. One final thing I did want to hit on. I think no one should be upset about Pokemon Platinum, Diamond, Pearl remakes not being produced, not being shown as of yet. I don't think you should be upset about that because it's still on the 3DS. So each remake has gone on to each different various systems. So we had Leaf Green, Fire Red, Game Boy Advance, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, DS, Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, 3DS. So the next handheld and or Switch there will be what Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum comes out on. And I think it's way too early in the cycle to be seeing that coming out yet. I'm pretty sure next year it's gonna come out, or at least details are going to come out about it. Now, whether or not it actually releases, that would be very doubtful as they are producing Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. So maybe it'll come out in 2019, but we'll probably get details about it. With all that said, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. There are a couple other articles that I would like to hit on, and a couple other things that I would like to talk about, like how the PS4 sales have exceeded 60 million worldwide and are stacking against the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch is selling amazingly, fabulously, and yet the PS4 sales are getting pretty close up there to some of the most legendary consoles that have sold in the history of the production of video game consoles. But the Switch seems to be still holding its own. And I think that's because a majority of people already have their PS4s, so there's not a bulk need for it. I'm even seeing PS4 Pros appear in Walmarts now and the local generalized stores of people that go to like Walmarts, Best Buys, and stuff like that. And it's not some specific shop or very specialized hobby or an online store, but actually in these stores. And when you can find consistent PS4s and you have a great supply, it's not shocking to me that they're not producing as many sales as the Switches per month anymore. And that is just due to some fact that most people already have them. But I think it's interesting that the Switch is still upselling very well. Like, people are spending money, man. People are spending a lot of money on video games. And it's interesting to me to see how much money is being spent on video games today as opposed to a couple years ago. And then, of course, I have an article about backwards compatibility with the Xbox One, which the Nintendo Switch has completely forgone because there is no disk drive. And I would like to introduce one last final thing. I know I'm getting off track here, but I would like to say that I really would have liked to have seen some type of USB extension with a unique specialized disk drive for the Wii U, and just plug it into the dock on the Switch and it would allow you to play Wii U games on your Nintendo Switch. Your Switch would have to be docked, or you could use the Switch and the disk drive would act as the vessel for the console itself, and you could use the extra screen on the Wii U. I mean, it's very similar. Amiibos are still working with the Switch and Switch games, and the controllers look almost identical now. They're very similar in nature, I don't think it would be a far cry to have something like that and to have it work and sell well if it was sold cheaply. So give me your opinions and thoughts on that in the comment section below. But as for Xbox One original backwards compatibility, I'll talk about that in another video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, as I said before, as I always do, and I've been your host Protomario, and I'm signing out. As always, good gaming, God bless. Please like and share this with all your friends because it helps me out greatly, and thanks for watching.